Oh, we got a good one today. What's up, everybody? Guy here, Guy Haberman. If you're watching on YouTube, great. If you're listening to the podcast, great. Thank you. Hit that like button, subscribe, 5 stars on the pod. Appreciate you. My buddy, GEOFF SCHWARTZ, is going to be on the show today. Coming up, a conversation with Jeff about the 49ers, Brock Purdy, the Chiefs, and can they right the ship? Plus, Jeff loves college football, so he's got some gambling picks, that sort of thing. We get to that coming up as well. But first, I got to tell you that this show is brought to you by the best Puesto Mexican Artisan Kitchen. If you are going to Niners Cowboys on Sunday night, you got to go to one of their 2 locations inside of Levi's Stadium. They also have a location in Concord and in Santa Clara in the Bay Area, and they're in SoCal. So if you're in Orange County or San Diego, I went to the La Jolla one not long ago. They got a great location there. Founded and run by the Adler brothers. These are 49ers fans. It's a family restaurant. They're absolutely crushing it. You will thank me. You will thank them. The food is so good. If you're going to Levi's, you just don't get stadium food like this. Nobody else is making tortillas in the stadium like these guys are. They've got a stand with Baja fried fish tacos and crispy shrimp tacos. They've got their quesadilla taco, the short rib, their filet mignon tacos. That's the most popular. So you can go get the filet mignon taco, and then you can hit the other stand maybe and get the Baja fried fish or the crispy shrimp. But it's amazing. It's great. It's nails every single time to get restaurant quality food, which is just like you feel like you're at somebody's home when you're eating with them. The restaurant itself is so cool. If you're going in there, it's a great place to hang. But you're getting that restaurant quality food, and you're getting it in a stadium. During the game, before the game, after the game. Plus, you get the margaritas with the fresh strawberry, fresh lime juice. There's nothing like it. Highly recommend. And then you go in, and they got Taco Tuesday special. So half off all tacos if you dine in after 3 on a Tuesday at Puesto. The chicken al pastor, the lobster, the tamarindo shrimp, the Baja fish, the ribeye, the carnitas, the swordfish. They got veggie tacos and burritos, and they got margaritas that will blow you away. So I'm a huge fan. I love it. I tell you about it all the time. Everybody that goes tells me, thank you. It lived up to the hype, because of course it did. It's not hype. It's real. It's legit. It's earned. And they look forward to the chance to serve you some of their food. They put so much love and effort into, and you're going to love their menu. So appreciate them. All right, GEOFF SCHWARTZ. Let's dive into some stuff here. Big weekend ahead for the Niners, obviously, playing Dallas. Before we get to that, I do want to tell you, because some of you ask and you like to know, that coming up this week, huge football game for your boy. I'm going to be at Bloomington, Indiana. All right, College game day is there. The big noon pregame, big noon kickoff was there last week. Gus and Joel were there calling the game. Jenny Taft were there calling the game. This week, undefeated Indiana, one of the biggest stories in all of college football, hosting Washington. I'll be calling that game. It's a 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern game on Big Ten Network with Rhett Lewis, who's on the show earlier in the week, and my guy Yogi Roth, my guys. And we're gonna have a blast. So I hope you check that out. If you are watching, you see that the hats we are getting close. It's been a long wait, but we are just about there. You can go to heyguy.co. Send me a message that way. Just send me any email if you want to go to heyguy.co and sign up for hat updates. All right. That's a lot of promotional stuff here to start the show. So appreciate y'all hanging in with that. Although the Puesto is content. That's information you need. So, all right, here we go. GEOFF SCHWARTZ back on the show. Very, very, very proud Oregon Ducks football player, alum, NFL player. Bear Bets, his podcast with Chris Felica and GEOFF SCHWARTZ is Smarter Than You. He's in New York doing TV and podcasting, or just podcasting?
No TV, just podcasting with Bear. We do it live in person because they want to see our beautiful faces together at the same time.
Yeah, amen to that. And Jeff, you've been on the show many times. People really enjoy you. The great thing too is if you want Jeff to come on and tell you everything's going to be okay, he's only going to say it if he means it. So I don't know how he feels. I haven't talked to him exactly about how he feels about the Niners. I know you just got done watching JT O'Sullivan break down Brock Purdy's game, and right now he is fighting the sun on video. For those of you who are listening, left is right and right is left.
There we go. I think we figured it out. The sun's setting here in New York. It's moving around a little bit. I think we're good now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Could if the Niners played Spags 100 more times, would they win one?
Probably not. At this point, the Chiefs sort of have their number right now, right? That's the best way to say it. Watching the JT videos, and look, we know that he just doesn't like the Shanahan offense at times. There's certain things he likes about him, but the pass game is not one of them. And you notice these things when they play Spags. The Niners don't have answers for what the Chiefs do to them. And it's not a lot, Guy, but Spags, the best thing Spags does is he is able to bring pressure in spots you don't expect it. And the Niners never have answers for that. It's like not part of their offense. And Spags continued to do that in this game where it just didn't have answers. And I don't think Purdy played terribly. Interceptions weren't great, but Mahomes threw interceptions too. It wasn't like he was the only quarterback throwing interceptions. They don't have answers. And then the one thing the Niners have done the Chiefs have done well this season is they've stopped the run really well this year. They've held every running back under his season average in 7 games this season or 6 games this season. I did again with Mason. Mason's number, by the way, was 58.5 for his rushing prop. He got 58 yards. So just a half yard under. But it was basically just one long run, right? One explosive run there. I think early third quarter, maybe early fourth quarter, they finally got one going. And Niners couldn't get a yard in this game. It just was the Chiefs just, again, sort of had their way defensively with this Niners offense.
I saw, Sheil Kapadi and the Ringer wrote a thing today too. I don't know if you saw that, but the Niners are 15th in rushing DVOA. They were second last year. Purdy's throwing into a tight window 22% of the time. Only Dak Prescott has more tight window throws. Last year, Purdy was throwing into a tight windows 12.8%. So last year, 12.8, this year, 21.8. Is there something, now look, Ayuk's out. Debo got hospitalized. Jennings is out. McCaffrey is out. But beyond that, is there something that stands out to you? Their play action numbers are way down. What can they do? What can Kyle Shanahan do to fix it?
This is where you earn your money, right? Because injuries happen to everyone, Guy. Now, sometimes they happen to more teams than others in a given season. But this is where you have to figure out a way to get back to basics and generate offense without weight your weapons there. You hope Pearsall can figure it out quickly. Obviously, first game in the NFL. But yeah, you have to find a way to generate. I think running the ball will be a good idea, getting back to the basics of what you're good at and what you've done for so many years. Run the ball, play action pass, move the pocket, just find simple ways to keep the offense ahead of the chains to try to avoid third and longs. But again, Kansas City is dealing with injuries too. It's not like everyone has injuries, right? You can't just say that injury is the only reason why. Kyle knows how to call an offense, right? And I think they'll find a way to do it. It won't be as pretty, but this is the Brock Purdy thing, right? We've been talking about this for 3 years now. Is what happens when it's not perfect, right, Guy? Because when you pay someone what they're going to pay Brock Purdy, I would imagine after the season, and this is a problem with not just him, right? It's other quarterbacks as well. Is do they elevate the team around them when things are not going well, right? Mahomes did not play terribly well in that game, but when he needed it the most, he made the plays, right? So Chiefs have done now for 3 straight years, right? When the best is needed, they play their best. Can Purdy do that? Can Purdy do that, Guy? Can Purdy be that guy when things are not perfect, when you have some injuries? Can he elevate the team around him?
It's a fair question. I would say this, though. Here's what really stands out to me. Like when I watch Andy and, Mahomes got some flat. I don't know if flack's the word, but people are just aware like last year that his yards per attempt were way low, right? It was like Bo Nix, Oregon, throwing the ball around the line of scrimmage, But the one thing is clear with Andy is like they get he likes fast, athletic. He likes fast receivers. They always have one. And they just get that guy the ball as easily and quickly as possible. And, he'll do end arounds. He'll do quick bubble screens. He'll tunnel screens. Feels like Shanahan really just does that stuff for Debo. And I'm looking up, I'm going, okay, I know he's a young receiver and Ronnie Bell has earned more snaps in Kyle Shanahan's mind. Jacob Cowing gets free down the sideline, which down the numbers, which Niners receivers don't do that, just run by people. And then they threw him a bubble screen and it worked. Like, I just don't understand why they don't maybe create some quicker, easier throws, especially when you're struggling to protect like they were doing last week against Kansas City. Well, this is the thing that Jake Sullivan talks about in his videos. If you want to go watch a quarterback school on YouTube, some of it's free. He puts them behind a firewall. But the Niners drop back passing game, right, is not
compared to maybe other offense, it's not a very diverse guy. Like it's not a drop back passing game that rivals the Chiefs. I mean, it's not that big of a menu. And so where the Chiefs, to your point, do a really good job of isolating Travis Kelce, right? Or I imagine with Hopkins in the lineup this weekend, I think he plays, we don't know, that they're just going to find 4 or 5 times in a game in this first game against the Raiders, where they're just going to say, we're designing a play just for you, buddy. And I don't think the Niners do that. It's not what their offense is. They don't do that. And it's a flaw of the offense, I think. And again, you mentioned the Chiefs, like those end arounds are so easy yards. It's McCole Hardman. Like he couldn't cut it anywhere else but Kansas City. And
against the Niners.
Right? Yeah, only against the Niners too. It's really funny. And you're right. And they find ways, and like I don't know if the Niners offense quite does that into that. I think Shanahan has to adjust now and find ways, to your point. Like we watched Cowling play in college. Dude can play, man. He can play. And you have to find ways to get him the ball now and find ways to make it easy for him to get in a good rhythm. That's one thing Andy Reid does so well too. And it's hard to compare everyone to Andy Reid, but early in games, he makes an emphasis of like, we're going to get someone the ball. We're going to force feed someone to get them in a rhythm. And a lot of other teams just don't do that.
I remember I talked a buddy of mine who's a Niner fan who played in the NFL. He's from the Bay Area. And I remember he told me one time, he's like, you know what happens is by the time you've quarterbacked through college, especially if you weren't on a great college team, and then maybe you quarterback in the NFL, and maybe for the Browns. But after like 2 or 3 years, you build up this scar tissue, and you're not just fresh to football and confident, and you've been hit and you've been beaten down and you've been hurt and you've played for coaches you don't trust, or maybe I did wonder for the first time if like the second time around against Spagnuolo for Brock Purdy, if he was a little jittery going into the game. The Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, but you haven't done it before, so you don't even know yet. The second time against Spagnuolo, if part of it is, and the same like Brian Floyd, like he's already in your head before the game starts, feeling like, if you feel like we don't have answers for what he does. And I do wonder if Spagnuolo was in Purdy's head before that game even started last week.
So I made this comment last week on a Bay Area radio station, and I don't know if I've seen like video proof of this, like on film essentially, but I think when the Niners have been owned by the Chiefs, which they have, right? I think they lost 5 straight Shanahan, Andy Reid matchups. One of those, Jimmy G got hurt in those. I don't know if you want to count that one, but 2 Super Bowls now, and last weekend, they played 2 years ago in that game in Levi Stadium.
McCaffrey's first game, I think.
Yeah, and I think like Juju had a big day, or MVS. Someone had a big day. Is you try to do too much, right? Like you try to do a little bit more than's needed because you're trying to find different ways to one up the opposing staff, or if your plan is not working, you have to think outside the box. But sometimes outside the box actually isn't the right way to go. And we see this all over sport, right? It's not just a Shanahan problem, but like I think even Oregon, to an extent, against Washington last year in the second game, like they did stuff they wouldn't normally do because Washington was kicking their butt for 2 straight games. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens in this sport. And I think they overthink the offense or defense sometimes because the Chiefs have owned them so much. Like your point about not running the football, like that's what they've done for so many years in a Shanahan, just like a staple of their offense: run the football, play action pass. But against Kansas City, a lot of teams do this, not just them. You think you have to score so many points, you abandon all that to pass the football, you know? And so I don't really know how much that plays itself in every down, but I would imagine that some of that quote unquote ownage, good baseball term there, is they just try to do too much when they play Kansas City now, because they know the Chiefs sort of have their number.
Good memory. Juju went 7 for 124 and a touchdown. MVS had 3 for 111. They were both.
Yeah, they hit a bunch of explosives that game. It's probably the last game they ever threw an explosive pass. So
Mahomes threw for 423. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like you're watching them going, this team's undefeated.
Well, so I mentioned earlier, like the thing they do best, besides they're really good on defense and special teams, which really help, is on offense. they just sort of save their best for when it's needed, which is not always a great thing. You can't do that when your defense stinks. Special team sucks, right? You can't do that if your defense is 28th in DVOA. But that last drive, the 6-minute drive at the end of the game, was really, really awesome. Like, that was a championship caliber drive. They ran the ball, I think, 9 times out of 10 plays. They ran it right down the Niners' throat. 4 yards, 7 yards, 6 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, touchdown Hardman. Like, that's the example of that, right? Like, the best was needed at that moment, and they had their best in that moment. And you can do that, again, when your defense is really good and you have Patrick Mahomes and you trust the play calling and offensive scheme behind you. And they continue to do that in these big games. They sort of save their best for when it's needed, because their average is really good. Like, that's part of it too. They know that. Like, their average is good. And Mahomes, look, he's thrown 2 interceptions to nose tackles in the last 2 games. I mean, it's just like, it's kind of silly that like his numbers are like bad, but
his receiver fell down on the other pick.
Yeah, and then Sky Moore dropped a pass. That's why they traded for Hopkins. We'll see his numbers, I think, pick up. And red zone offense has not been Kansas City's strong suit this season. That's why they don't have, without Rashee Rice in the lineup, and that's why I think they went and got Hopkins. They don't have like a 3rd and 6, go catch the ball wide receiver in the red zone. You know, Hopkins is that guy now, because Kelsey's really not that player much anymore. And they need just someone else to catch the football in those situations. And that's why they went and got Hopkins.
Feels like Kittle is aging better than Kelsey is.
How old's Kittle, though?
I mean, Kelsey's younger. 30. Is that what you're saying?
Kelsey's 34.
Yeah. Kittle's 30. Just turned 31.
You know, Kelsey is at the point now where it's just, they just don't need him as much. And when he had a big 3rd down catch, remember he ran that little route, kind of caught the ball and snuck back. Like, that's what he does so well, right? Where they thought they're running out. Mahomes threw it to the inside, caught the ball, snuck back in. They just don't need him as much anymore. And look, let's be honest. This is his last season, right? Like, I think we understand that. The Chiefs.
See, I don't think everybody does. Do you think everybody knows that that the feeling is that he's going to retire after this year?
I think the Chiefs know that. I think that's why they're trying to find offense. That's why I think when Rashee Rice was healthy, the offense ran through Rashee Rice, not Travis Kelce. Yeah. I think that was purposeful, because you have to find offense without Travis Kelce moving forward. And why not just sort of practice that now? Because you're always going to have Kelce. You know that in a big game, you can go back to him. But he's not the same player anymore. I mean, he's had, games he played, 150. Like, he's played a lot of football. And he's not the same player anymore. And he's played 158 games. I looked at 158 games. And that doesn't include the postseason. So there's another, 20 games in the postseason he's played. So, but they know they can get to him whenever they need to. And that's why they tried to put Rashee Rice as far as like as sort of the lead guy in the offense. And he got hurt, and now maybe that's Hopkins now moving forward.
I want to show you something for those of you listening. I got sent this by a listener. It's a flow chart. Okay. It's a Niners season flow chart, and it says September, start the season slow, get players injured, lose against the worst teams in the league. October, where we are now. That's it. Kyle needs to go. November, December, win a bunch of games down the stretch, clinch a playoff spot. January, win wild card game, divisional round. This is when we finally get it done. Hashtag quest for 6, losing the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl in heartbreaking fashion. Then February, right. August, complain all off season about the loss, and then star player demands new contract, requests trade while posting cryptic social media posts. So the only thing that's different this year is the guy you paid gets hurt.
I know.
With an ACL.
Dude, your schedule's tough, man. Like, I mean, the Cowboys are very good.
Just got to beat Dallas this week and hit the bye at 500 and try and win the NFC West.
Yeah, and you're going to face the Bucs without Mike Evans most likely, because that's their weekend before their bye. And then you have, you got Seahawks, Packers, Bills, Bears, Rams are kind of dead. Dolphins, who knows? Lions, Cardinals. So it's a first place schedule, right? It's what you get being a first place team.
Yeah. But to me, it's like November 10th that's a game and a bye week. You got to win this game.
Yeah.
Maybe after the bye, you get McCaffrey back. Debo, hopefully, is not, Debo has beaten pneumonia. Juwan Jennings is back. And I'm not one, people who've been like, I don't think you and I have talked about this. Maybe we have. I've been very pessimistic on McCaffrey from the initial injury, just because it like 2 Achilles is terrifying. So I don't know exactly. I don't even want to say it, but let's say he comes back and plays. That doesn't just mean you're just going to have him for the rest of the season. But if you can just get to the bye, there's just such a big difference, Jeff. They're 3-4. The 3-5 or 4-4. Be 4-4. You've already beaten Seattle, Arizona, and then you got the Rams. Like that's your division. You just got to win your division, and then hopefully you can peak when you get to the postseason.
That's a good way to put it, right? You get yourself in a situation where you sort of feel good heading the bye, get as healthy as possible, and then just hit the ground running and make that late season push. The Niners are a good example of really every team who's not the Patriots or Chiefs in the last 25 years, that like your window is kind of short to win championships. I'm not saying the Niners can't get back there and do it again next season, but when you pay Brock Purdy, your team's gonna look different, right? It has to. And you sort of have to hit that window when you have that opportunity. Because I think this year, it seems tough to get back to that situation. Like I think the Lions, to me, the Hutchinson injury stinks, but they feel like the favorite in the NFC, especially if they have home field advantage, which it feels like at this point they're going to have. It's gonna be a tough road for the Niners. I wonder if do they trade for anyone? Do they call the Jets for Garrett Wilson? Maybe.
Why is Garrett Wilson dressed like a quarterback every week when I watch him, like from the 90s, with like baggy sleeves and like a quarterback mask, and doesn't look as swaggy as he plays? Why would he needs to catch the football though? Well, I mean, the struggle for them is like, if you don't win this game, do you trade any? Let's say they lose. Do they trade somebody away? Doesn't feel like what they do, the Niners. But like, do they look at it and go, well, we can't bring Mooney Ward back. We're not going to pay him.
Who are you going to trade?
Debo, Mooney Ward. I mean, I would not. I'm not a trade Debo guy, but at least not during the season.
I don't think the Niners sell off. I think that's probably not going to happen.
You think the Jets would trade you Garrett Wilson if they you're saying if they like lose again?
Yeah. I mean, are we guaranteed they're going to beat the Patriots this weekend? I'm not guaranteed. Patriots +7, baby. Put it in my pocket.
What's the Niners Cowboys line?
I think it's 5. It was 5-ish.
I mean, Dallas, just like Kansas City, Dallas is coming off.
It's 4 now. Yeah, the
Dallas coming off a bye.
The Niners, I think Warren Sharp talked about this. The Niners have a really bad rest disadvantage this year in a lot of their games. Yes. Where they play a lot of teams off a bye and getting extra rest than they do. They have not yet had an advantage on a team. Yeah, but the Niners did have a Thursday night game though, heading into the Chiefs game. So it wasn't like it was that big of a disadvantage.
Correct, but it was still a -4 disadvantage. And you're playing Andy having the bye.
Yeah. It's silly to me, Guy, that people still make the Chiefs underdogs. I just don't understand.
I couldn't believe that.
I was shocked. I bet the Chiefs. I was shocked. I bet the Chiefs rarely. They're my team. I don't do it often, but when they're underdog, I'm like, sign me up. I just don't understand. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
Do you like the Niners this week?
-4, just straight up.
Straight up.
Are Parsons and Lawrence playing for the Cowboys? I don't know. I guess I don't know yet. Lawrence, I think, is no, right? Because he's on IR, but Parsons probably yes. Cowboys are dead right now, too. I mean, all this Jerry Jones stuff and the media firing radio. Can you imagine if we're doing Pac-12 today and we get on Rick George from Colorado and we're talking shit about Colorado? He's like, you guys are fired. I'm firing you.
For those of you who don't know, Jeff is talking about a Sirius XM channel that used to exist.
It does not exist anymore. We got 7 Pac-12 teams moving forward.
That's true. Bulldog. They need a Bulldog expert. Micah Parsons. It says high hopes that he plays.
I love how stupid this whole college realignment thing is, and USC and UCLA, basically USC was the driving force behind all of this, and they just suck. They're 16th in the conference right now.
I mean, they've lost. They could be how many points away from being 7-0?
Don't do this. Don't do this.
You gave me the stat earlier. What is it?
No. Lincoln Riley said this. That was a joke. They're 4 points away from being 7-0.
4 points away. I got to tell you, Jeff, I really love the new Big Ten, personally.
Yeah, I love it's good for your job. First of all,
it's been good for business.
I
like it, and I do enjoy it. I have to tell you that too.
We're number 1 in the country. One thing I've realized about the Big Ten, though, that is different than the Pac-12 is
the quarterback play is atrocious in the Big Ten for the most part. It
hasn't been good. Yeah,
it's bad. And the Pac-12 had very aggressive in-game coaches, which I prefer over like punt the ball and kick field goals. Like think about, and part of that is quarterback play, right? When you have the 6 quarterbacks we had last year, or 7 quarterbacks last season that like all were good, you go for more on 4th down.
You're not playing field position.
No, we look at these teams now in the Big Ten. Oregon's aggressive, but they've been less aggressive this year. Lanning's trying to kick these long field goals, I think, just to see if they have any field goal kicker. But he knows it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He tried a 52-yard attempt again last weekend. I think just because he can. Like we're losing, we're up 21-0. And you look at, but then who else is aggressive? Ohio State sometimes. James Franklin tends to be a little aggressive, right? But Lincoln Riley clams up at the end of games. He's not terribly aggressive at all times.
PJ Fleck's aggressive. Minnesota.
Yeah, he is. But look, that's one of those games where USC thought like we're one play away. Well, okay, let's say you force that fumble. You had 99 yards to go to score to win the game. Like it's not like you have to count that in as well. Like you forced the fumble, it's 17-17.
Oh, you're talking about yeah.
You had 70 yards to go. So you're not one play away. You're one play away plus the next part of the game to go win the game. Like that's what I don't get about when you say things like we're one play away. It never is one play away, right? It's never really one play away.
Was Ohio State one play away from beating Oregon? Like if they Big Ten championship rematch?
Well, are we sure they make a 50-yard field goal on the road in Eugene, Oregon? I'm not certain they do that. So the thing is like, I think one play away to me, it's never one play. It's never one referee decision. There's always ways to win games besides waiting to the final play of the game. And yeah, it can be boiled down to one specific play at the end of a game going one way or the other way. And it's certainly fair to talk about that, but to just outright say things like, we make that play, win the game. No, not always. Ohio State can directly point to if we call a timeout and we kick a field goal, we have a better chance to win. Absolutely. I buy that more than I buy USC one play away against Minnesota.
Yeah.
How have you liked the travel so far? So you've been to Rutgers, Minnesota, right?
Yep. Direct flights.
Where else have you gone?
Nebraska.
How are the vibes in
Bloomington
compared to the Pac-12 schools?
How are the vibes?
Yeah, compared to like the Pac-12 stadiums.
I mean, excellent.
Oh, it's good. It's been good.
Yeah, the crowds. Now, I had Indiana week 3. Not a great crowd. This Saturday, it's going to be sick.
You have a sold out place.
I'll tell you, Rutgers was a very pleasant. Like Rutgers is a good crowd. It's a cool, like the stadium's cool. Like I was really, I love. It was cool. Nebraska's 100. I like Nebraska's amazing.
Which game did you do for Nebraska?
I did a non-con game, but then I'll be back there for UCLA in 2 weeks. Minnesota's awesome. Like cool town, good food, good stadium. The colors are great. The stadium's unique. The sunset's right in the back.
Are they in Minneapolis or in St. Paul?
Minneapolis.
Oh, they're in Minneapolis. Minneapolis, by the way, really fun city. People because it gets cold there.
I know.
I played there for a year. It's a fun city. It's been fun to watch the Big Ten and just sort of get used to this new conference. I will. My best friend in Charlotte is a Rutgers alum. Oregon's at Rutgers next year. I'm debating of flying up to make it happen.
It's so easy, and it's
an hour flight.
You could take the kids to that game. It'd be easy.
Yeah, I fly to Newark and drive. I've been to.
Yeah, but they have they do a whole they got like a whole thing going on out there outside the stadium, like Ferris wheels and all kinds of stuff.
Do they really?
Yeah, it's like a really good. I was very impressed with the whole operation.
You don't miss going to Pullman in Corvallis?
Well, I actually like those plays. They're just easy. Like everything on the West Coast is easy.
Yeah.
But these, for the most part, now, like I'll go to Bloomington this week. That's a flight to Indy and then a 45-minute drive. But whatever.
That's
Bloomington. No, it's a really cool college town, So I'm into it.
And you got the game day game this week. That's pretty wild.
I know.
It's your first one, I imagine.
It is. Yeah. I think I've heard it's the first game on Big Ten Network where College Game Day was there. And Lee Corso coached. He's like Indiana football history. They've won 9 games twice, 67 and 45. Think about that.
You gonna bring that in the telecast, I would imagine?
Hell yeah.
Rhett's probably over the moon, isn't he? He's going to be so excited.
Yeah, he is.
That professionalism has got to be tough in those moments.
I said it's going to be one of the great. There's some great journalists came out of Indiana, and I told him this is going to be the greatest test for an Indiana journalist ever since he played at Indiana, and he's our sideline reporter.
I'm not going to lie. If I was doing like Oregon, Ohio State, I would be a homer. I don't care. So we're gonna homer it up.
Will you go to the Big Ten championship game if it's those two?
It's a Fox game. I could probably swing it.
Yeah,
if Fox. Yeah, it'd be Fox.
Sideline pass.
I'm curious if Penn State beats Ohio State, which is certainly possible next weekend. Ohio State's out. It'd be Penn State, Oregon, probably. Yeah. Penn State, Oregon. Indiana, obviously, the game is in the shoe, though. They probably don't beat Ohio State in the shoe, though.
It's in the shoe, correct.
Yeah, they probably don't win that game.
I mean, their quarterback's probably back by then.
Yeah, I think he's only a couple weeks, right? It's been a fun college football season, man. I'll tell you that. Like, you probably don't talk it very much in your podcast, but it's been an entertaining season. It's not like a Georgia from 3 years ago,
right?
So there's a lot of teams that have a chance to win. I think only 5 or 6 actually can, but the Big 12 might have like multiple undefeated teams in the Big 12 championship game. How
about this? And I know there are people like Navy and Army are both undefeated right now. That never happens.
Yeah, Navy's going to lose this weekend, but yes, your point is.
Who does Navy play this weekend?
At it's Notre Dame and MetLife. I think they're playing a neutral site.
You sure they're going to lose this weekend?
Yeah, I was looking this up earlier. So one of the themes of this season so far, Guy, has been like when good team finally plays good team, they sort of lose.
Okay.
And this, I'm looking at Bill Conley's SP Plus for the opponent rankings for Navy so far. So Temple is 127, Memphis is 59, UAB is 119, Air Force is 125, and Charlotte's 122. They just have played nobody.
Yeah.
I think it's just,
even for them a 1-loss season. I mean, like
they've been super fun to watch. Like I've bet on Navy this year. Army has Notre Dame too. I think this season they both have Notre Dame, and they can meet in the AAC championship game. Then play the next weekend in the traditional Army Navy game.
I know it's pretty cool,
which is crazy. Again, I mean, the Big 12 could have undefeated BYU play undefeated Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game because I don't think they play each other this season.
I was talking to an NFL scout on the field at the Rutgers game. And I was like, who's kind of the Brock Purdy at college? Who's the next? And he's like, actually, I think the Iowa State back. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's the Iowa State guy again.
Yeah. His dad played NFL for a while, right? Anthony Beck. I think he coaches the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL.
The tight end from the Colts, right?
Yeah. And Colorado is good and no one cares. It's incredible. We spent 18 months talking about how Colorado, and now they're actually good and no one seems to care at all.
Yeah.
Which is shocking.
I am debating what I'm going to do with my Heisman vote this year.
Who's your leader now?
I think the easy answer, and maybe the right answer, is Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
But I like the Travis Hunter thing is just, and there's Cam Ward too.
Cam Ward, they're going 12-0. Miami is.
Yeah. I mean, it may be like, to me, it might be one of those that by the end of the year, there's really not a debate.
Yeah, it's one of those three right now. I mean, the funny part is Dylan Gabriel's just as good as Bo Nix was last year at this time. Same numbers, but he doesn't have like cool plays.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
He's played really well. And they might be 12-0 too. Miami's probably not going to lose. Their schedule's pretty easy. And
Cal was the shot.
Or Virginia Tech when the game when the I think he didn't catch the ball. I don't think he caught the ball, but
I thought he did.
You thought he caught the ball?
I thought he caught the ball.
Poor Cal, man. 0-4 in the ACC. They've lost like all 4 games in the same manner, man.
I know.
I feel for Wilcox because if COVID doesn't happen, he probably gets a big boy like SEC job because they were riding high after 2019.
But I don't know if he wants that. I mean, he's been a bunch of places. Like I think Cal's a pretty good fit for him. I feel bad he's not winning there right now because I think he's a really good coach. And they've got Jay Knott. How many times do you get Jay Knott?
Just they can't finish these games. It's odd because his defense was so good for so many years. Now the defense just can't get a stop.
I know.
In these games.
Yeah.
And so that's your West Coast football recap.
There you go. All right, it is time for the Prize Picks segment. I love doing this. I'm playing Prize Picks nonstop, even times when I'm not telling you what the pick is. You make a $5 lineup with the code GUY. You immediately get $50 into your account. You can also click on the link down in the description. Here we go. Let's make a couple lineups to show you how easy this is. First up, I'm going to go Aaron Jones. All right. I'm going Aaron Jones against the Rams, Thursday night football. I'm going to go more on his rushing total, 69.5 rushing yards. All right. He's having a resurgence this year. He's 5+ yards per carry. The Rams are 30th in the NFL in rushing defense. They're giving up 152 a game. He just went 14 carries, 93 yards against the Lions, and the Lions have the 5th best rushing defense. So there's pick number 1. All right, pick number 2, I'm going to go Kyren Williams, more than half of a touchdown. He's a touchdown machine. He's got 8 touchdowns rushing and 1 receiving. He's been the only bright spot for an injured Rams offense. The Lions ran for 144, 2 tugs on the Vikings defense last week. And now we're going to also go, why not? Matthew, if there's, this is, sometimes I'm like, hey guys, I think this is a locky lock. This is a locky lock. I'm going more than half a pick. He's just out there trying to make plays, man. He's got a pick in each of the last 3 games. The Vikings defense has 11 interceptions this year. Brian Flores scheme causing a lot of confusion. Anticipate the Rams being down. Stafford's forcing it, trying to throw it around. Now, I go back and forth on this. Like last week, very effectively, I used the flex picks, which means you only have to hit 2 out of 3. So like 50 pays $225 on the power play or pays $100 on the flex pick. And I'm just moving along, but I'm going to go a little bigger here. So I'm going to go 50 to pay $225 on that lineup number 1. All right. And now let's make another lineup and let's involve the Sunday games here. And you can see if you're watching, there's NFL games and you can go baseball. You can do all kinds of stuff here. All right, let's clear that lineup. All right. Next up, let's go Kareem Hunt. They're playing the Chiefs Raiders. I'm going to go more than 71.5 rushing yards for Kareem Hunt. Raiders are on quit watch. They give up the 2nd most yards per carry of the league. They're on quit watch every year, so this year's no different. Chiefs have turned to the running game, so there's pick number 1. All right, let's go Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to go more than 59.5 receiving yards against the Packers this week for the Jags. He's been the only bright spot for the Jags. He surged past this number in 3 of the last 4 weeks. 2 weeks ago, he had 29 yards versus the Bears in London, but Trevor Lawrence missed him deep a few times. He's 7 yards per target in the last 5 weeks. So if T-Law can hit him a couple of times, I mean, this should be no such thing as easy, but this should be easy. I'm going to go a little bigger on this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. So now I'm going to go Jamar Chase, less than 77.5 receiving yards against Philly. T. Higgins had out-targeted Chase in the last 4 games. Eagles defense looks improved. I know it was the Giants, but still, they limited Malik Neighbors to 4 for 41. So I'm going to add that. You might be thinking like, hey, guy, what about the Niners? What about something with, what do we want to do with the 49ers? So I'm just going to go, it's easy to do this. I just type in 49ers, and I see everything that's available to me here. And I can move around. Like I can go Jordan Mason, half a rushing touchdown. I can make the Jordan Mason line harder and make it 1.5. All right, I don't want to do more than 1.5 rushing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns. I can go Brock Purdy completions. I can do all kinds of stuff. Brock Purdy picks. I don't think Brock's going to throw a pick this week. So I'm going to go less than half a pick. Although that, I'm going to go less than half a pick for Brock. All right, against Dallas. That is 10. If I hit all 4, that's 10x my money. Okay, that's 500. Do I want to hedge that and make it 250 if I hit 3 out of 4? It's 1.5 times. If it's 4, it's 5x. Do I want to do that? Do I want to go big? Guys, let's go big. I'm going big. All right, so here you go, 50 to win, 500 in that one. And that's how you do it. That is PrizePicks. All right, hope you enjoyed the show today. That was a lot of fun. Again, go to heyguy.co, get signed up. Make sure you click yes on marketing emails because hats are finally going to be out soon, and you'll be able to order them from heyguy.co, heyguy.co. You can also send me messages there and holler at me. watch a big football game this weekend on Saturday. And then I'm going to be back home and settled in to be back here on the pod and on YouTube on Sunday night. Everybody, thanks for hanging, and I'll talk to you soon. Later.